Let's dive right in. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're peeling back the layers on something that honestly feels like it was ripped straight out of a sci-fi movie. We're talking about Google's newly launched Gemini 3.5 Live Translate. Look, if you follow the AI space, you know things move fast, but this is a fundamental shift in how we actually communicate on a global scale. I mean, just imagine a world for a second where you can speak to anyone, anywhere, in real time, completely skipping those painful, awkward pauses where you're just standing there waiting for a translation to process. We've all been there, right? Holding a phone between two people, saying your sentence, waiting for that robotic voice to chime in, and then waiting for the other person to reply. What if all that friction just evaporated? So in today's explainer, we're going to hit 5 key areas. First, the end of awkward pauses. Second, how the audio pipeline actually works. Third, why this is an interpreter, not an agent. Fourth, the economics of real-time translation. And finally, the global rollout. All right, Section 1, the end of awkward pauses, or what I like to call the consumer magic. Gemini 3.5 Live Translate absolutely shatters old limitations. We're talking support for over 70 languages with seamless, near real-time translation. This isn't just a handful of high-resource languages anymore, you guys. We're looking at thousands of potential language pairings happening within a single conversation instantaneously. No way around it. That's huge.
And this perfectly illustrates the massive leap we're taking. Think about the old way, turn-based, stop and go, waiting patiently for the speaker to finish before the system even thinks about processing. Now look at Gemini 3.5 Live. It uses continuous streaming. The translation stays just a few seconds behind the speaker, dynamically balancing the need for context with the need for pure speed. It's fluid. It feels like a real conversation, not some clunky transaction.
But what actually makes it feel human? Well, it doesn't just parrot words back to you like a robot. It literally preserves the original speaker's actual tone, pacing, and pitch. Plus, it automatically detects what language is being spoken, no buttons required. And impressively, it's got incredibly robust noise filtering. So if you're out on a noisy street or stuffed in a crowded conference room, it filters out all that background chaos and zeroes right in on your voice. Moving on to Section 2, how the audio pipeline works, diving into the technical architecture. Now, what is really fascinating here is the massive architecture change. The old way of doing this was honestly incredibly clunky. You had to chain these models together, right? Speech to text, then translate that text, then turn that text back into speech. Every single step added lag. And worse, if the first step made a mistake, that error just compounded all the way down the line. Well, Gemini 3.5 completely ditches that mess. It is a single, native, audio-to-audio model. Raw audio goes in, translated audio comes right out. For the developers tuning in, here is your media contract, and it is strict but super powerful. Basically, you stream raw 16 kHz PCM audio into the API in rapid 100 millisecond chunks. The Gemini model processes this continuously, and what you get back is a really smooth, high-quality 24 kHz translated audio output. You're building a native media pipeline here, handling the capture, the buffering, the playback, the whole shebang. Because of this streamlined, native audio-to-audio architecture, this pipeline processes translations at 1/10 of the latency of those old chained methods. Think about that. 1/10. That is literally the difference between an awkward, painful lag and a natural, flowing conversation. All right, Section 3, interpreter, not an agent. This is a really vital mental shift. Look, do not treat this like a conversational chatbot. You know, a live agent is an assistant. It listens, it reasons, it uses tools, it takes turns. Live translation is a totally different beast. It's a dedicated interpreter pipeline. It's designed to stream audio continuously while the speaker is talking. No tools, no clever prompt instructions. You feed it audio, tell it the target language, and it translates. Bam, that is it. So let's see how this impacts practical product design, because you really have to design around real-world limitations. For instance, voice consistency can kind of shift after a really long pause, so don't go promising perfect voice cloning. Heavy accents? They might confuse the auto-detect. So a pro tip is to show users a transcript confidence score. And honestly, my personal favorite, there's this setting called Echo Target Language. If you leave this set to true in a loud room, it will literally translate the background noise and echo it right back to you. Yeah, a quick recipe for a hilarious but totally awful audio nightmare. Definitely default that one to false. Moving right along to Section 4, the economics of real time. Prepare for some really disruptive costs here. The pricing model for developers charges per minute of processed audio, and wait for it,
It comes in at an unbelievably low average of just 3 cents per minute. 3 cents.
To really put that into perspective, let's see how it stacks up against the alternatives. A human interpreter? That's going to run you anywhere from $50 to $150 an hour. The old, slow text-to-speech pipelines hovered around $5 to $9 an hour. But Gemini 3.5 Live Translate? It's estimated at just $1.20 to $2.40 per hour. Real-time, highly accurate translation is absolutely no longer a luxury enterprise feature. It's just an affordable, everyday API call. And let me tell you, the developer community is already running wild with this. Jesse Hall from LiveKit kind of hit the nail on the head. He said Gemini 3.5 Live Translate makes multilingual voice effortless. He actually built this demo where everyone just speaks their native language and instantly understands everyone else. Just think about the friction this removes for distributed global teams, for pair programming, or even just your daily stand-ups. You just speak your native language and the AI handles the rest. Game changer. And finally, Section 5, the global rollout. Here is how you can get your hands on it right now. Google is definitely not holding this back. They are pushing it out rapidly across multiple surfaces. As of June 9th, it is available in public preview for developers via the Gemini API. Later this month, it's hitting Google Meet in a private preview for enterprise customers, which bumps their translation capabilities from a measly 5 languages all the way up to 70. Plus, it's rolling out right now globally on the Google Translate mobile app for both iOS and Android. Major enterprise partners are already seeing massive success with this. Grab, the ride-sharing giant, is using it to bridge the communication gap between drivers and tourists across millions of calls. And Bella Back over at CJE&M pointed out that early tests show super promising quality, giving global media viewers a much more authentic experience. It's highly accurate, and it is incredibly fast. For those of us just using our phones, the Google Translate app update is honestly brilliant. You can pop in any pair of headphones for a totally seamless experience. Or, if you're on Android, you can use the brand new listening mode. You literally just hold your phone up to your ear like a normal phone call, and the live translation streams directly into your earpiece. It's perfect for a guided tour or a discreet conversation. And crucially, all of this generated audio is secured with an imperceptible Synth ID watermark, so AI-generated speech can always be identified to prevent any misinformation. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to really chew on. As this incredible technology collapses the cost and the latency of global communication down to basically nothing, it leaves us with one truly fascinating question. If real-time, accurate translation is virtually free and seamless, does your company, your team, or your community even need an official language anymore? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.